You just inherited $5 million. Dollars. What's the first thing you do? Most people say invest it, travel the world, buy a house, but statistically speaking, there's a very high chance that within 5 years, that money is completely gone. And the crazy part is, this doesn't just happen to lottery winners or overnight celebrities. This happens to some of the most financially successful people on the planet. So, what is the number one reason why rich people go broke? Stick around because the answer is going to completely change the way you think about money forever. Let's start with something that probably sounds completely backwards. The more money someone makes, the more financially vulnerable they often become. Not less, more. That sounds insane, right? How can having more money make you more at risk of losing everything? Well, it all comes down to one single concept that almost nobody talks about, and that concept is lifestyle inflation. This is the main reason why the rich go broke. It's quiet, it's sneaky, and it has destroyed more fortunes than any bad investment ever could. But before we get into exactly how it works, you need to understand why your brain is literally wired to let this happen to you. Here's the psychological trap that almost no one escapes. When your income goes up, your brain doesn't register it as security, it registers it as permission. Permission to upgrade your car, permission to move into a bigger house, permission to eat at fancier restaurants, wear designer clothes, book first class flights, and throw expensive parties. Each one of these decisions feels completely reasonable in the moment because technically you can afford it. But here's where the danger starts to creep in, and this is the part that will blow your mind if you've never heard it explained this way before. The problem isn't the spending itself. The problem is that every single upgrade you make raises your baseline, and once your baseline goes up, it almost never comes back down. This is called the ratchet effect. Your expenses only move in one direction, which is upward. You can't unsee the lifestyle you've been living. A person who once drove a 10-year-old sedan and moved to a luxury vehicle doesn't easily go back. Someone who moved from a modest apartment to a sprawling estate doesn't suddenly downsize without feeling like they've failed. And this psychological trap is exactly what has taken down athletes, musicians, executives, and business owners who made millions of dollars and somehow ended up with nothing. But wait, it gets even more complicated than just spending more money. The most dangerous version of lifestyle inflation isn't even about what you buy, it's about what you commit to. See, one time purchases are actually the least of your worries. The real financial killers are recurring commitments. We're talking about the mortgage on the dream house that requires you to earn at a high level every single month just to keep the lights on. We're talking about the private school tuitions, the luxury car leases, the staff you hire, the memberships, the subscriptions, the second properties. Each one of these feels like a normal part of success. Each one feels deserved. But what you've actually done is built a machine that requires a constant and increasing stream of income to survive. And when that income slows down, even temporarily, the machine starts eating itself. Now, here's the part of the story where it gets really personal. Think about professional athletes for a second. Studies have shown that a significant portion of professional athletes face serious financial difficulty within just a few years of retirement. These are people who earned more money in a single season than most people will see in an entire lifetime. So, how does it happen? The career ends, but the lifestyle doesn't. The expenses don't adjust, the commitments don't shrink, and the income gone almost overnight. But athletes aren't the only ones this happens to. Entrepreneurs who sell their companies, executives who get laid off, entertainers whose popularity fades. The same pattern shows up every single time. And knowing that the pattern exists is only half the battle. The other half is what you actually do about it. So, how do you actually protect yourself from lifestyle inflation? The first and most powerful thing you can do is track the gap between what you earn and what you spend and fiercely protect it. Rich people who stay rich don't just make a lot of money. They make a lot of money and then keep a significant portion of it out of reach from their own spending habits. They automate investments before they ever touch their income. They treat their savings like a bill that must be paid first. They create what some financial experts call a wealth floor, a minimum financial position below which they will never allow themselves to fall. And here's the second key principle that separates the wealthy from the temporarily wealthy. Stop tying your identity to your lifestyle. This is the deep psychological work that most people skip entirely because it's uncomfortable. When your self-worth becomes attached to your net worth, any financial setback doesn't just feel like a money problem, it feels like an identity crisis. And people in identity crises make terrible financial decisions. They overspend to maintain appearances. They take enormous risks to recover losses quickly. They borrow money to fund a lifestyle they can no longer afford. The moment you separate who you are from what you own, you give yourself the freedom to make rational, clear-headed financial decisions no matter what the market does or what life throws at you. Here's the final truth that ties everything together. Going broke isn't usually the result of one catastrophic decision. It's the result of hundreds of small, reasonable-feeling decisions that collectively created a financial structure too fragile to survive any disruption. Lifestyle inflation is the number one wealth killer because it happens slowly, it feels completely justified at every step, and by the time most people realize what's happening, the damage is already done. The rich people who stay rich aren't necessarily smarter or luckier. They've simply learned to build wealth that doesn't depend on their lifestyle staying perfectly intact. So the real question isn't whether you can afford to live large. The real question is, can your financial life survive if everything suddenly changed tomorrow? Think about that one carefully. It might just be the most important financial question you ever ask yourself.